Hello, welcome to this week's edition of the talk show. I remain Elijah Tanimola. As you know, on the show, we discuss on issues related to relationship, marriage, and lifestyle. And don't forget that the goal of this show is for us all to enjoy God's ideal for our relationships, for our marriages, and for our lives. And it is important for us to understand that God's ideal for our marriages is that we enjoy heaven on earth marriage, nothing less of that, nothing short of that. And we must ensure that we remain focused on this ideal, irrespective of this present situation that we are facing. We must understand that this ideal is accessible and it is available and it is God's ultimate desire for our lives. Last week, I started on the intimacy series and I discussed on communication and intimacy. This week, I'll be talking on love languages and intimacy. And I want you to understand that when I say intimacy, I'm talking about emotional intimacy and sexual intimacy, because I believe that these two category, these two factors, they are very important for us to enjoy, not just to stay married, but for us to stay married and excited about our marriages. God's ideal is not just for us to stay married, but for us to be excited about that marriage, for us to have a vibe, a feeling of life at all times in that marriage, a feeling of fulfillment, a feeling of satisfaction. And our emotional and sexual intimacy, they are very vital and germane for us to enjoy this excitement, for us to have this feeling of satisfaction and fulfillment. And that is why I'll be focusing on these two categories of intimacy, that is emotional intimacy and sexual intimacy. They are very, very related, because I believe that if we have a strong emotional intimacy, it flows and it affects our sexual intimacy and invariably releases the right hormones for us to have a feeling of connection with our partners and for us to feel loved. When we say love language, what we mean is how we expect love to be expressed to us. That is how the husband expects his wife to express love to him, how the wife expects her husband to express love to her. And according to Dr. Gary Chapman, these love languages have been categorized into 5 categories. That is, it has been discovered that everyone wants to have a feeling of being loved in one of these 5 categories. And I want you to understand that even though we have a primary love language, just that we have a primary personality type, we also want to have a feeling of love, at least in little proportions, in other secondary love languages that we have. And we have these 5 categories. The first one is the act of service. That is, this is talking about how a person wants to feel loved through act of service. These are the categories of people that believe that it is not just enough for you to talk about love, it is important for you to act it. Don't just talk the talk, walk the walk. The belief that if you want to show me that you love me, then you need to act it. You need to show it in action. We need to put it in action. Now, another category is the words of affirmation. This is talking about people that believe that it is not, if you want to express love to me, then you need to say it. You don't just need to show it, you need to say it. These people, they take the words so powerful and intimate. What their partner says to them goes a long way in showing that they are loved. Another category is receiving gifts. That is, these people, it's not that they are materialistic, but they want to, they expect that you show them that you love them by buying gifts for them, giving them gifts. And it is not about the quantity of the gift, it is about the thoughtfulness of the gift, the thought that goes behind that gift. It is very important for us to understand this. Another category is the are those who want who wants love to be expressed to them through quality time. That is, they expect that if you say that you love me, then you need to have time for me. You need to create quality time for me. And when we say quality time, we are talking about attention. It's not just for you to stay in the home with me, it's for you to give me the right attention. They love quality time. The last category, which is the fifth category, they are those who expect that if you love me, then you need to express it through physical touch. That is, if you say you love me, then you need to be close to me. Now, this physical touch doesn't have to be a sexual touch, but just a feeling of physical closeness. It could be a hug, it could be a kiss, it could be a peck and things like that. It's just a physical expression of love. That is what they interpret as love. That is what they see as love. When you do this for them, they feel loved. Now, how does these love languages influence and affect our emotional intimacy? It is very important for us to understand that, as I said earlier, that for us to enjoy and to be excited in the marriage, our emotional intimacy must be in place. Dr. Gary Chama referred to it as our emotional love tank. That is, it needs to be continually filled in order for us to have the feeling of happiness, excitement, and life in that marriage. There are so many people that have been married for several years, they have stayed married, but the marriage is no longer exciting. I presume that one major factor that has made that marriage no longer exciting and no longer interesting and no longer lively, what could have warranted the vibe that they used to have in the beginning to have died down is most likely because they have not paid due attention to their emotional intimacy. Their love tank is probably empty or very low. And in order for us to fill up our love tanks, we need to understand, to identify, understand, and consistently, continually, and unconditionally express love to our partners based on their primary love language. Now, for those who love the acts of service, when you do little things, now we must understand that this act of service is not just doing it as a bait. This love language is not just you doing it as a bait or a button that you can press to get your selfish need. You must understand that it must come from the heart. If you want to connect to the heart of your partner, you must do it from your heart. It must be a selfless, unconditional heart, not a tool as a bait or as a button to press anytime you want your selfish needs to be met. If you don't want your partner to interpret that love language wrongly, even though that is his or her primary love language, then you need to do it genuinely. In terms of those who want love to be expressed to them as in a form of acts of service, you must understand that it is not about the weight of what you do in the term of the physical sense, but about the thought that has gone behind it. That is, your act of service must be thoughtful. They look at the effort you have put into it and the time you have devoted to it. Now, acts of service could be helping your spouse, helping your wife to wash the dishes. Act of service could be something as simple as cleaning your husband's shoes before he goes to work. Act of service could be just taking a cup of coffee to your husband's study just to ease the stress of his activities. Just to ease the stress of our activities. Something thoughtful. Something that shows that you are thoughtful. Something that shows that you are putting in effort to ensure that the life of your spouse is easier. And it's very important for us to understand this. Now, if a lot of people say, oh, my husband, I'm not having a feeling of connection to my husband and things like that, I'm not having a feeling of connection to my wife, it could be that you are expressing love to him or her in the language that is not his primary love language or her primary love language. You know, a lot of people, a lot of men fall for their secretaries and personal assistants, and a lot of wives say, I don't understand him. I give him everything. Anytime he wants sex, I'm always available. I try my best to make him happy and things like that. I'm not saying there's a justifiable reason for you to cheat on your wife, but I'm saying that probably you have been concentrating on other love languages that are not his primary love language. Most likely for a man that has his primary love language as act of service, he sees the involvement of his spouse, of his wife, as love. The involvement of his wife in his work, in his activities, as showing love. It could be just asking him about his day's work, asking him about the project he is executing, about the contract he's trying to secure. And because the secretaries and personal assistants are already involved in his work, most likely he will tilt, it tends to become more close to them, and that could lead to temptation that he didn't even prepare for. And we must understand this. That is act of service. You must understand how your husband or your wife wants to feel loved. It could be just helping in the kitchen, just to wash the dishes, just to clean the floor and things like that. Another area, another love language is the word of affirmation. For those whose primary love language is words of affirmation, they expect that you say these words genuinely and sincerely. That is what they are looking for. It's not just for you to say the right words, it's for you to say it genuinely and sincerely. They are looking at the motive behind the words that you say. So if you do something wrong and you just say, I'm sorry, and that is the rhetoric you used to give, they look at the emotion behind that I'm sorry. They look at the emotion behind that please. They look at the emotion behind that I love you. They look at the emotion behind that you look gorgeous. It's not just for you to say to your wife you look sexy. They want to see that you mean it. They want to see that you are genuine about it. It's not just for you to say I love you to your wife. She wants to see that you actually mean it. You know, a lot of wives will ask their husband several times and say, do you love me? They will ask the question. And the husband is wondering, I give you everything you need, and yet you are still asking, do I love you? What else do I need to show that I love you? You know what? It's not that she doesn't understand that you love him in the concept of love, but what she's trying to say is that I'm not having a feeling of love. You are not expressing love to me the way I want it to be expressed to. You are not expressing it to me in my primary love language. So she wants to hear it over and over again. She wants that word of affirmation, saying I love you, saying that you look good, saying that you look gorgeous, saying that you look sexy, and things like that. She wants to have that feeling of vibe, and she's all blushing when you say those things. And that is what makes her excited in that marriage. For the husband too, it could be a husband that his primary love language is word of affirmation. It could be that you just say to him, darling, I believe in you. I am proud of you. I'm so assured that you will secure that contract. You know why? I've married the most intelligent husband ever. You see, that is for a husband that his primary love language is that word of affirmation. He is feeling all over himself. I mean, he's feeling on top of the world. Even though he has doubts before about that contract, about that project, the moment you affirm those words to him, all those doubts, all those fears, they are subdued. It could be a text message that, darling, don't be afraid, I am praying for you. Be assured that you secure that contract. And even if you don't, we are here together. The sky is not it's just your starting point. Just a word of affirmation. It could be, I love you, I cherish you, I cherish what we have. And those are very important. That builds our emotional intimacy. It feels loved. Another, for people that love, how do we apply physical touch to our emotional intimacy? Now, I said earlier that physical touch is about the intimacy. It's about the connection, the feeling of connection, not just about a sexual touch. For those who love this physical touch, they want to hug you outside. They want to peck you outside. They want to just stay with you outside. They want to just have a feeling of connection. They want to cuddle. They want you to kiss them goodbye when you are going out. They want you to hug them. They want to hold your hands when you are going out and things like that. And for some of us, that if you are the type that you are not used to that, you may not be expressing love to your wife or to your husband the way they want to feel loved. And we must understand this. It is not just about the sexual touch, it's about the feeling of connection. Just a peck on the forehead, a peck on the cheek, a kiss on the mouth, a hug, a little brushing of shoulders, a cuddling and things like that. That is the way they want to be. They want love to be expressed to them. And it is very important for us to understand this. Now, for those who want love to be expressed to them through by receiving gifts, you must understand that they look at the thought behind the gifts. It is not about how big the gift is, it's about how thoughtful you are, how sensitive you are to their need. Now, the need could be a particular candy. I mean, as small as a candy, just buying that candy and giving to them, it could make them feel loved. It could be an expression of love to them. You know, I think sometime this year, when during the season of mangoes, and my wife was all over, she wants to take mango. It's just like the song in the house. She puts it on her status, who is coming from Ogbomoso, who is coming from Osho State, can you get mango, can I get mango, and things like that. And I was driving past and I saw mangoes somewhere in town and I bought the mangoes. You can imagine the expression on her face. You know, she practically put it on her status that her husband bought her mangoes. How much was the mangoes? I think it was around 200 naira or something like that. Now, it's not just about the quality of what I bought. It's not just about the how expensive that thing is. It was about how thoughtful it was, how sensitive to a need that I was. You know, it is very important for us to understand it. How sensitive are you to your wife's need? If the primary love language of your wife or your husband is receiving gifts, it is not. No, there's a difference between people that love, who want love to be expressed to them through receiving gifts, and those who are materialistic. Those who are materialistic, they are all about how big that thing is. But those who want love to be expressed to them through receiving gifts, it is not about how big that thing is. It is about how thoughtful you are to get them those things. How sensitive you are to get them those things. And you must understand it. When you understand this and you express it correctly to someone whose primary love language is receiving gifts, there's a feeling of emotional bonding, emotional connection, and you get more emotionally intimate. Now, for the last category, for those whose love language is quality time, we must understand that it's not just about the duration of time you stay with them, even though it's important, but it's about the attention you give to them while staying with them. You must be deliberate about it. You must be mentally available. It's not just for you to sit with your spouse. It is for you to listen attentively to what they have to say. And that is what they interpret as quality time. You know, those for wives that loves quality time, it is not that they want you to do anything for them in the kitchen. A lot of time, my wife will want me to just stay with her in the kitchen. Now, that is not necessarily as primary love language, but for those whose primary love language, you will understand that quality time is important for them. It is important to them. That is how they feel loved. They may just want you to sit down with them in the kitchen just to gist, just talk. It's not that she wants you to pick anything for her. She just wants you to sit down and talk with her. That is quality time. When you go for a date night, it is not just for you to be distracted by your phone or the TV. He or she wants quality time. He or she wants attention. So it's not just to say, "Oh, I can hear you." He or she wants to know that you are involved. You are attentive to what he or she has to say. And it's very important for us to understand. When you express love to someone whose primary love language is quality time, in this way, he or she feels loved. Now, how do we apply this to sexual intimacy? It is very important for us to understand that our feeling of loved, or how we feel loved, influences our responses to sexual intimacy. A lot of time we complain, "Oh, my wife doesn't like sex, my husband doesn't like sex." It may not be that they don't like sex, it's just that they are not emotionally connected to you the way they should be emotionally connected to you, such that they can easily flow into sexual connection. Because emotional connection makes it easy for you to flow into sexual intimacy. So it may be that they are not feeling love because you are not expressing love to them in their primary love language. So sex to them is like they are feeling used rather than feeling loved. It is not that you are not providing other things. It is not that you are not doing other things. But the primary love language to them, it is how they interpret that you truly love them. It is how they feel truly loved. Now, it could also, expressing these love languages could also influence the creativity and spontaneity in sexual acts. When you express love genuinely to your spouse in their primary love language, they become more open to sex. They become more creative about it. They become more spontaneous about it. When she feels love, maybe throughout the day, you have been affirming. If her primary love language is words of affirmation, you have been showing that you love her through the right words. You are showing her a lot of compliments and things like that, or an act of service, or a special gift, or a quality time, or a physical touch, just rubbing your hand on her and things like that. And when it's time to have sex, it may not even be a particular time. It could just be a trigger, a spontaneous trigger, because the emotional love tank is filled and that is overflowing into sexual intimacy. And we must understand this. Now, how do we now apply these love languages in the act of sex? That is the very act. For during the act, before the act, or after the act. Now, it is very important for example, someone that loves act of service. It could be just heating the water for her, or switching on the water heater for him, just for him to take a hot or a warm bath and things like that, preparing the water for his bath or her bath, and that could lead and flow into the sexual act. For those who want physical touch, it could be you cuddling her after the sexual act. That is, you don't just do it and just stand up. You are cuddling her, you are kissing, you kiss her, you hug her, you show her that you love her. She's feeling loved, her emotional tank is filled, and then it is overflowing into sexual intimacy. And it is very important for us to understand this. It is very, very important. For those who love quality time, they want attention. Pay attention to her even in the bed. It's not that you are doing it and you are thinking of something else. She wants to even engage you even while doing it. And she wants to know, or he or she wants to know, that you are there. It's not that your mind is running towards somewhere else while you are with her or with him. And that spices up your sexual intimacy. You are not just having sex as an obligation. You are having sex as an exciting part of your marriage, of your relationship. And that is what brings the right life and vibe to your marriage. That is, even after the sexual act, there is vibe. There's a feeling of connection. Not just during the sexual act, but after the sexual act, because it is a result of the overflow of the emotional love tank, and it is very important. Now, quick tip: how do I discover the primary love language of my spouse? The first thing is, check out what does he or she express love to others. Someone that loves to serve others or love to affirm others, it's an indication that is how they want to be loved too. Also, notice what they usually complain about. The complaints of our spouses could be an expression of their love language. Take for instance, for someone who loves to be touched, physical touch, he or she could say, you don't even touch me, you don't even hold me. It's only when we want to have sex that I feel you are coming close to me. That is saying that our love language is physical touch. Now, another thing is, how do I know? The request they make. I want you to hold me. I want you to tell me you love me, and things like that. And you could also do what Dr. Gary Chapman advised, the 5 weeks experiment. That is, take each of these love language every week, Monday to Friday, and try to express it to your spouse to see whether that is their love language. And at the end of the day, you will know which one gives them more life and more excitement. And that is very, very important. I trust that you have been able to get something in this episode today. And I believe that as you apply these love languages to your marriages, you will be able to enjoy the best of God in your marriages. And that is what we call heaven on earth marriage. Next week, I'll be coming up with another interesting discourse on this intimacy series, and you surely don't want to miss that. Thank you for joining me tonight. God bless you. Stay safe, and bye for now.